This is the Pevex garden stove, and it's not only designed in Britain, it's made in Britain and distributed in Britain. Hi, I'm Gabriel. My family have been manufacturing, designing and selling stoves for 3 generations. And this channel has 2 sides: stove reviews and information, and mini films about influential people whose success story might inspire you. Check them out and leave me a comment. You could also like and subscribe to see more. They make a couple of different options with this stove. This one is the 3-sided 900 model, which means it's 900 millimeters tall. They also do a 700 millimeter tall version and a 4-sided version for both different heights. The 900 can have this optional base for storing logs and keeping them above the ground. Obviously, the flue is another option, and one that we would strongly recommend to get the smoke above your head. The other final option, which I'm a massive fan of, is this damper, because it has an amazing control over the stove. This stove is made from core 10 steel, which means it rusts straight over with a sort of orange patina, but it doesn't actually corrode. There are no seals around the doors or around the glass, so there are no perishable parts. The stove freely leaks air into it. It's a very crude design, but surprisingly effective, as you'll see. Let's light it. Starts with a few small logs on the bottom, and then some kindling. And then finally, a fire lighter on the top. This will test it today because it's very, very cold and completely still. So we'll be able to see how much smoke it creates and where the smoke goes. The fire was properly established and we were starting to get some heat after a quarter of an hour. It's surprisingly clean, actually. We even shut the stove down and ran it overnight, and the following day it was still clean. Although I am using very nice dry, kiln dried ash, so you know that will definitely work to its favour. The controls to this appliance are particularly simple because it doesn't really have any. The main door handle is the obvious first one. What I was really glad to find was that even when I've had the stove burning for a long time, this never got too hot to touch. Obviously you can option for a damper. Now this handle does get hot and is already hot, but it is surprisingly effective. Bearing in mind this stove has no seals, no rope seal, no glass seal, it's leaking like a sieve. But when we close the damper, you can see an immediate effect and the flames just disappear and back up and woof, away it goes again. So it's incredibly controllable, but only if you have the optional damper. On a stove like this, fuel economy is a little bit tricky to measure because, as I mentioned, I did chuck 4 or 5 logs on it, shut it down, come back 8 hours later and it was still going. But obviously we want lots of heat and lots of flame like we're getting now, and typically 2 nets like this will last a really good evening with loads of flame and loads of heat. If you love entertaining outdoors as much as I do, then you're gonna love it. Obviously that means that clubs, pubs, restaurants, anybody running that sort of thing is gonna have a use for this because it's fantastic. You might need a little bit of a guard round it though. It's obviously not hugely portable because it's big and heavy, but it works beautifully. whilst we've had a couple of parties and birthdays. Obviously smokers love it, but the biggest thing that was noticed by several people was the heat. Currently we're in minus temperatures right now, and it really packs a punch. I think I might want one.